you weren't able to see distant ridge lines. So it might be harder to line up.
The vertical orientation, more about the
I'm gonna mute you for 1 second here. Yeah, I'm muted here.
Does that work now? Can you?
Matt, can you hear us?
I can.
Yeah. So should I?
But you may. Oh, he can hear.
Just
a
couple quick
We can
questions.
probably hang on then. Or we're not hearing from there.
No, it's hearing you from there.
Yeah, you're hearing it from his phone.
Over the audience.
Hold on, Matt.
Did anyone lower the volume on the TV?
Yeah.
I think
increase the volume.
He's muted on the TV.
It's already, it's
Oh, he's muted on his side.
Mhm.
So he has to unmute on the Zoom.
Matt, can you heard that?
Can you,
Unmute on your end?
I'm unmuted now.
there we
You
go.
can hang on.
Okay, I'm gonna hang up. We'll try this again.
Thank you. Got it.
Okay, any better?
Oh, God,
Yes.
yes.
finally.
Okay, yeah, I apologize. A quick question about your field photography protocol. Are you using a consistent focal lens on your photographs? And what is that?
There were, I think, a handful of photographs where they were different. Don't ask me why. I was not, unfortunately, I was not the one taking the photos, but for the most part, they were at 55mm.
Is that full frame sensor or crop sensor?
It is a crop sensor. It was a Nikon D, but 5300, I believe. So
Okay,
1.5.
Did you apply the crop factor then?
Yes,
Okay, so the audit was on a 35 or so on your,
on a couple of,
Okay.
so the point was you didn't have it at 55 on your lens.
well, some of them were, some of them weren't.
Okay,
But he applied it after a couple of them, he realized. But we're aware of it and we took it into consideration when making the model. That each cell matched the photo taken. And that.
okay. That's one thing I would look for in the final processing of the simulations is that the metadata from the camera be included with the photographs, so that it's clear that, if you did not use, something in the range of a 50 millimeter, full frame sensor equivalent, that, we know that. So we know what's important is to know how far to hold the printed image from your eye. And that's a function of the, field of view created by the focal length. So, typically, if you print it out on, 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, a 50 millimeter, focal length, you'd hold it about, a foot from your eye. But if it were a wide angle, you would hold it at a different distance. So that's important to know, that metadata, and that it be printed on the sheets. My last question, and this is really just setting us up for field work for the balloon test. Can you put the visually sensitive resources, you have those on one page. Can you combine those onto the viewshed map so that as somebody is going through the field, driving through the study area for the balloon test, they know whether the photo point falls within the viewshed or not within the viewshed? That's just a common tool to use during field work to be able to know exactly where you are. So I would recommend that all that be combined onto a single map. And also, I understood your viewshed. You did what I refer to as a reverse viewshed, where you're showing where you can't see it from. It's typically easier to do field work with a viewshed, the opposite of that, when you're identifying the areas where you would expect to find visibility rather than expect to not find visibility. So, that's something I would like to have on the day of the balloon test. Just makes my job navigating a little bit easier, those two things. And that's all I have.
So you're asking that we reverse the colors on the viewshed map? So that red is
Yes, so visible areas would be colored and non-visible areas would be not colored.
The reason why we do it this way is because whenever it's not colored, you're having an unobstructed view of the streets and whatnot, so you know that this is what this street is named, whatnot, because it is just blank face map, visible in the visible area, potentially visible areas.
Yeah,
So that's
I understand. I understand the way you're doing it. I've never seen it published that way. I understand it. It's not wrong. It's just unusual.
Hard to do.
No, it's not hard to do. It's just
Yeah.
sort of the generated results. So I'll just reverse those colors.
Okay.
So Matt, is that it?
Yeah, that's all I have. Yeah.
All right.
If I have any other questions, I probably can put them in writing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so what's next steps?
Well, I suggest we put our comments in writing. Matt's gonna have some, I know Helena's collected a lot of information on potential sites that some of
Both
our.
Peter and I have.
Peter,
Yeah, we have an
people
Excel
from
sheet we're gonna-
PIPC and others have given us potential sites.
Right.
And we probably ought to, just compare with the ones that they've got, make sure that, you know, and then, get the whole thing off to them. And again, I'd suggest this week, that way we give them plenty of time, and plus we'd still have the question that we're just gonna put it to later as to completeness and all that other gobbledygook that lawyers are gonna disagree about, and hopefully we'll never get there, but we'll get it off to them this week. More importantly, we'll give ourselves as much time as possible to square it all up and be able to, at the next meeting when we have them back in, come up with a useful scope for the balloon test. And we understand from Matt that, and from your confirmation, that might take us a while to pull off. So really, we got to get it started at the latest in early March in terms of publishing the notice of it and get the thing moving, because we may lose a lot of dates, right?
What, in terms of a scope, what do you, I mean, the scope is pretty straightforward.
Well, we want to, there's a bunch of sites you may not be aware of that.
Oh, yeah, no, we want those, absolutely.
Plus any comment, Matt's gonna maybe have a few comments for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Scope is a general term, just, you know, all the technical specifications for the rest of, at least the field work and the balloon test, because that's the critical path right here, right? We
Yeah.
gotta get this moving.
Absolutely.
We want to get this done by mid to late April because of vegetation. So, I mean, give ourselves time because weather happens.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, okay.
So if we can get some information to you by the end of the week, then the whole thing's moving as quick as possible, then we have you back in at some point, either later on in the month or next month, and nail it down.
I have a question. Was there any impact considered on the resort itself from this location?
Yeah, a couple photos were taken from
No.
the resort itself.
RF impact?
I'm sorry.
They're gonna get good service.
Yeah, do you mean safety?
Yeah, safety, yeah.
Yeah, they're fine.
Because you said that it was like more straight out than,
Straight out within like
Yeah.
30-50 feet. It's not, that's kind of your danger zone with these types of sites, these macro type of sites would be like. Within 30 feet of right directly in front of it. Beyond that, it falls off dramatically.
Yeah, I wasn't being facetious. They're gonna get really good service. And like I said, we have the certified engineer letter that says all publicly accessible locations, including that facility, are well within the guidelines and limits. So, yeah.
Can I ask one viewshed question?
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I wonder whether this is going to have a flashing red light on top of it. And if so, why aren't we getting any photos of how visible it's going to be from everywhere, including my house with the flashing red light?
Answer? Well, you're presuming there's a flashing red light,
Well,
Can you
that
give
was
me
the
the answer to
question.
it was a question he asked, is there?
you know, and then he's a presume, and we have, I don't think I have FAA back. But this is below the 200-foot level, and we don't have any indication that there will be a flashing red light.
Will there be any light?
There'll be a ground light on the equipment. And, sorry, you okay, answered? Okay. A ground light at the equipment location, and that is operated by a switch. And then when a technician comes at night, if there's an emergency, they typically do all their work during daylight hours. And then it'll be on a timer so that if for some reason they were to leave at night and they didn't shut the light off, it will shut off automatically.
There's no light
Well,
on
at the
top
top.
of them.
No, but I'll get confirmation of that.
Can you confirm that?
I will get confirmation for that.
And there's gonna be a standby generator on site.
Correct, there is.
Will you have information about how loud that is? I'm concerned about the
Yeah.
people that live next door to it.
Yeah.
Is it tests bi-weekly, I think you said?
They run it, yeah, I think bi-weekly, usually it's at 10 o'clock in the morning for 20, 30, 40 minutes. But I'll get you noise information on it.
Okay, and fuel for that? Will
Yeah,
be stored on
diesel.
site? Will that be stored on the
It
generator?
is, it's a belly tank, 225 gallons or so, and it's double lined.
Underground or above ground?
But it's right under the generator itself, so it's above ground.
One of the members is very familiar with the site and was wondering why it's so close to the building, why the property is so large, why it wasn't moved back further. And the access road didn't appear to meet standards for an access road for this kind of contraption. So when we get to the site plan, Greg, we'll be looking at what you presented for the site plan. So we'll be looking at those kinds of things.
Sure, yeah, the road is consistent with, I think it complies with the fire, guidelines. And
16 foot, 20 foot,
It's a 20-foot,
20 foot.
well, 12-foot wide gravel access to the extent we're coming off pavement. So if we build the access drive, it'll be 12-foot gravel, but that, I know there's a fire requirement for 20 feet for residential. But I can provide a letter from Tectonic, they've done it before, that is compliant with the fire guidelines.
what do you need for,
I think it's 16 feet. I don't.
Is that local? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Is local required? Okay.
I have to double check. 'cause I'm
Yeah,
not the
no,
fire
we'll
inspector.
double check too.
Yeah.
Is there any, it's a 20-acre parcel that is talking about, following up with Rick. Have you looked at other parts of the property to locate the tower?
So-
Because where it is placed as Rick and Keith, it's very close to two apartment buildings. It might be easier putting it there closer to the road, but in reality, if the site can, take that tower and you can just move it back from the apartments, because we're gonna be looking at the generator on a weekly,
Bi-weekly, yeah.
bi-weekly
Yeah.
for 30 to 40 minutes. And then if there is a power outage or anything like that, so you might want to consider that.
So do you know if there was any other? I'm sorry, this is Dan Weinheimer. He's a site acquisition specialist. I don't know the answer to your question,
Okay.
but he may.
Yeah, so I've spoken with ownership on several occasions. About areas within the property that we could use. My original idea or hope was that we would be able to locate somewhere further back. What we did initially was we scheduled a design visit with the representative from the ownership group. Along with radio frequency engineer, construction manager, we went out, we walked the property. And it was just determined by ownership and the group that this was the best location for the site based on, we observed, wetlands. The terrain does go up and down, and we also had to consider setbacks. We wanted to make sure we were meeting all setbacks. So that's basically how that came about. We did walk the property with ownership and the team, and this was the preferred location.
For them, for the owner of the towers.
Yeah.
But there would be, if you moved it to the back corner, would there be any change in,
But the landlord would have to be okay with that.
right,
So that's
just
kind
trying
of.
to just,
Well, he needs a site plan approval for us. from
Yeah.
us,
No, understood, but.
Right,
when
so
we-
Right.
it doesn't, we're worried about the people who live there. He
No,
needs a site plan approval from us. So if we say move it, he's gonna have to move
and
it.
if there are no I wasn't quite aware that there were wetlands when I.
There's
did-
wetlands on one side. but
You know,
minimal.
so, but those are just so the team knows,
Mhm.
those are things to consider.
If there's no constraints on the site, the owner has preferences, but when it comes to the people who may be living there, we're gonna may have a different view, so he may have to.
We have to
put
look at the
tell him
impacts to them.
I totally get all that. I'm just saying on site, the landlord said you guys can go here, right?
All right, well,
And I'm,
yeah,
You know,
I get it.
we tend to think of seeker here as, being, visual impact analyses and some other things, but in every project, at a site plan level, we're constantly concerned about minimizing impact on neighbors as part of seeker, and that, we don't typically, again, it's not that you typically think of in terms of a cell tower, but in this case, if there are neighbor concerns, it's gonna be there. And if we give a site plan approval based on that, then the owner's going to, it's what we're gonna have to do.
That's why he's the lawyer and I'm not.
I think we'll have a conversation just to.
Well,
express
we need to look at
your-
this, we need to
Yeah,
look at the
yeah,
site
yeah.
first. We'd like
We
to,
will go back to the owner too in the meantime to express your concerns.
we want to do a
At least
site
initial
visit,
concerns, and see
Scott.
what he says.
We want to do a site visit as the board.
That's fine.
So we need 2 dates. You can contact me to work those out.
This is at the site.
Site plan.
That could even be after a declaration of significance. The critical path now is.
I understand.
Balloon test and then we'll.
Yes, absolutely.
But these are important issues. This is gonna be sort of backloaded.
Yep, but we're gonna raise the issue with the owner now, just to get that. Absolutely. And I'm sorry, so you're gonna get me some written document, maybe with new locations, and we're fine for whatever locations in there you feel.
Yeah, why don't we do this, board? Helena and Peter, you're gonna put all that together. You've gotten a lot of people contributing in. Have it go to Dave.
okay,
Let Dave be the point person. Involve Matt, obviously, but to get it to these guys.
And
Okay.
then I'm sorry, when's the next?
When do we
meeting?
think that we can, when do you think we can get all this together?
Got a preliminary Excel spreadsheet going now. I gave a preliminary copy
Okay.
of Matt,
I'm out
Right.
of pocket for 24 hours
so,
at least. with
So
elder
within,
care.
by this time next week?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Let's, if we can by
You go-
Friday.
I'd like, well, I'm gonna be, I'm
You're
a
out-
93-year-old, so I'll be out of pocket
Yeah.
Wednesday to
I
Thursday.
included that in there.
So we'll
So
try,
maybe close the business Friday?
so Friday or Monday.
Oh, that's fine, that's fine, that's not. a
The
problem
next
at all.
meeting is the 24th of this month.
Okay,
If you were to appear, what would we be talking about?
Well, the goal,
well,
is to nail down the specifications for the balloon test.
yeah, that's what I want, but as far as I'm concerned, and you may have different opinions, I'd like to walk out of here and say, once you give me your locations and requirements, we'll incorporate that into our document. And then get this scheduled, knowing that it needs, public notice, and then just work with the town to get that to happen. Because we don't know when it's gonna be, again, weather dependent, and we have to work with that. Don't know if does it require 7 and 14 days, some towns do, I forget. a public notice, so.
Yeah, you've got 10, is it 10?
10 days.
All right, 10 days. then.
So if we were to get you the material by this Friday, would you be able to come on the 24th
Yes,
and we can talk about?
10 days.
All
10
right.
days.
yeah, and then we can, and in the meantime, I'll get the forecast out, and I'll get some
circulation.
possible dates, weather permitting.
March?
We can talk about, yeah, it'll be in March, because we have to do the 10 days notice.
So I had talked to you about, we put you at the end this time, so I don't want you to feel it's
Thank
punishment. But, so how long would this? I'm gonna put you at the end again on the 24th. It won't be that late though.
Okay,
If I could move it around, I will, based
Okay.
on everybody else who's on the agenda.
yeah, I don't think it's a long discussion.
I don't, yeah,
Really,
half hour, 45 minutes,
if that,
an hour.
if that.
Okay.
15 minutes.
I have a question.
Perfect, okay.
I have a question,
Good.
just, a couple of things on the EAF were, can I add those on there, the things that should be on there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's another
Yeah.
document you want,
The,
them to.
notes.
yeah, because on the EAF, there's, stuff missing in, section, E3. About, resources, within 5 miles, aesthetic resources, and it has
Visually, yeah.
well, no, this is the regular EAF, the long form EAF. Has the rail trail, Cohasson, Warwick Park, but the things that are not on there are the scenic byway, Madawaska State Park, Mohawk Preserve, overlooks, and the long path.
Let's get, why don't we just get that in the,
You get the-
in the,
Yeah.
in the written
Yeah,
document?
okay.
Yes.
We, the whole, whatever it is,
Yeah.
the whole bunch.
Okay, that was all I had.
All right,
Anything else you need from us?
no, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
This has been very informative, thank you.
Motion to.
We have to make a motion to adjourn.
Did you want?
Anybody want, not want to?
Did you want to do this thing?
Hold on a second, don't go anywhere. Say that again, Peter.
There's something you mentioned about.
Oh, yeah.
Do,
So there's something that the town, I know it's a lot of incentives. There was a amendment to the recently implemented town code that the town board wanted to do. And I gave you a copy of it. And I just need your comments on it. They were making some changes to the aquifer protection zone to make it clearer that nowhere in the aquifer protection zone was gasoline allowed. And also to correct the convenience market in Google.
I looked at it.
You're okay with that, right? Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And is anybody wedded to the index? They want to get rid of the index because it's difficult to maintain. I like the index. So you know how at the beginning of 140 code, they actually list the name of the section, and they have a page number?
Yes, you
You
got
like
to keep
that?
an index.
You like the index? You like the index?
General code just does that for you.
Okay, so we're gonna ask
That's
them
what
to keep
the
the index.
separate-
That's all I needed.
Minutes?
Motion to adjourn. Motion made by Jennifer, seconded by Peter. And what I need you to do with the maps,
We need to vote on it.
oh, yes, all in favor? Aye, aye. With the maps, you could all, just leave them there.